how you doing? My name is CODENAMEBIGBEAR, or Stuart, if you want to call me by my first name. Welcome to the Bear's Den. Today we're going to be talking about Zelda a little bit. Yeah, so I've been playing, Skyward Sword. It's been out for a couple of weeks now. I've actually got further than I did first time around when it came out on the Wii, which is pretty cool, because the last time when I was on the Wii, it kind of bored the crap out of me, to be honest. I got to the first temple and didn't want to know. Just never kind of picked it up again. I think mainly because at the time, it's coming to the end of the Wii's life cycle. I was more excited for new consoles, and the motion control thing was a bit of a ball ache to sort out, I suppose. But yeah, I've been playing Zelda Skyward Sword on the Switch. I've got much further. I'm really actually enjoying myself. The motion controls are really quite fun. They do work very well, except for when you have to look around, you have to kind of reset the Joy-Cons. One major issue I have with Joy-Cons when it comes to like looking around and stuff, especially with like light gun games, because you have the sensor at the bottom of that controller. Why can't they just kind of have the Wii attachment and plonk that on top of your TV to sort that out? Because I absolutely would prefer that, personally. Anyway, the motion controls really work, and the stick thing really works. The story's quite good, but that's kind of where I'm getting at in this video. So the story for Skyward Sword is, it's the very first iteration of Hyrule and Zelda and Link all at once. It's literally the beginning of the Zelda timeline, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. But I think for me personally, the whole Zelda timeline thing has only been coming to play kind of just in the last few years, probably around about the time this one came out, really. Because as far as I was concerned, growing up, that The Legend of Zelda was literally that, a legend, the same story, told by a different person and told in a different way. So, give you an example here. So, The Legend of King Arthur, people tell the story and you have a very different interpretation to it. You have Excalibur, for instance, a 1980s movie, and then you have, what's that Sean Connery film, something to do with the Rose. It's got Richard Gere in it. That's a very different story. Robin Hood is a very different, again, another legend that we have that is told differently throughout the world. It always has Sherwood Forest, it always has Robin, it always has Maid Marian, and it always has the Sheriff of Nottingham, but they're told completely differently. Kevin Costner did his own version of Prince of Thieves, which is actually a great film. Very long, I always forget how long that film is. But we have Prince of Thieves back then, but then you skip ahead and you had the recent one with Jamie Foxx in it, which is a very different take on the Robin Hood story. And then a different one again, the Russell Crowe one. And that's kind of how I view Zelda. I've always viewed it that way. It's not like, it's a new Zelda and Link that's just through the ages, because they're always named the same, they're always the same people, and yes, I know the goddess and all that kind of thing. I do understand why the timeline exists and how it exists. I just don't think it should be a timeline. I think we should have pocket stories. Purely because I always thought it was, again, like somebody around a campfire telling this story, this fantastic story of these two elf-like people, Link and Zelda. And Zelda has been kidnapped, or she has imprisoned herself to save the world that she's in, or she's on her own adventure to kind of, save the world that she's in. And the main warrior, Link, is this kind of just out of nowhere country bumpkin, I suppose. Almost, Frodo or Bilbo, I suppose. Or, if you want to get serious about it, Samwise is the hero of Lord of the Rings. But essentially one of those. And he goes along and he ends up saving the world through courage and, bravery and, just kind of assisting Zelda in the win in the end. I suppose by killing the big bad. But still, Zelda's a very capable woman. She always does the thing. But it's not one point I'm getting at. Point is, Zelda to me has always been a legend. Always been a thing. So you have your pocket stories, as I said. So you have a Link to the Past, for instance. And then you have A Link's Awakening, which is just a continuation of that character basically fell asleep, had a dream. Essentially, that's what the whole thing is there. But then you had A Link to Two Worlds. the two worlds. I never played the 3DS ones. I don't have a 3DS. But I really should, and I know I should. But a Link to Two Worlds, I'm sure it's what it's called. But that is also a follow-up to that story. But then you have, like, you know, the Ocarina of Time, and a follow-up to Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask was its follow-up, sorry. That was its story. And I always thought that, you know, Skyward Sword actually followed Twilight Princess, but I've since realised that no, they are just separate stories. It makes sense. And also the art style is completely different, so that really makes sense. Yeah. Oh, and Phantom Hourglass had flipping. It was a follow-up to what's the cel-shaded one? Wind Waker. Wind Waker. Yeah. Oh, I'm not long woken up, guys. Please forgive me on this one. But yeah, you get the idea. So you have these little pocket areas, obviously stories, and as far as I'm concerned, it's just you know, the Ocarina of Time is, you know, an old man in England telling the story. But the Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, that is somebody in France telling you the story. Then you have, you know, the Link to the Past and all that kind of thing. That's somebody in America telling the story, and it's their interpretations of The Legend of Zelda. That's how I always have seen it, and the whole time I think really drives me nuts. I don't know why. I don't know why it does. It just bothers me a little bit. Just bothers me a little bit. And I've been thinking about it a lot since I started playing Skyward Sword again, purely because it's supposed to be the first one, and I've obviously recently I've been playing Breath of the Wild as well. I've got like 200 odd hours into Breath of the Wild, and I've got to Hyrule Castle and I've pretty much just stopped because I don't want that game to end. And that's very much the post-apocalyptic version of Hyrule, and it has this whole backstory of regeneration and blah blah blah, and it really enforces the timeline as much as you can. But if it wasn't for that game and Skyward Sword, would we have the timeline be spoken about as much? I don't know. I don't think we. I think it was very much an afterthought. Yeah, because why would you call it The Legend of Zelda? Yeah, you just call it Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Zelda, blah, blah, blah. But if the games are called The Legend of Zelda at the end of the day, it's Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. You get the idea. I think I rambled on enough about this. I kind of made my point, at least. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the Zelda timeline. And just to go back real quick, Skyward Sword on a Switch. Yeah, man, it's really good. Definitely worth playing. Absolutely worth playing. It's really fun. I enjoy the puzzles. I enjoy the motion controls. I enjoy the stick thing. And it looks really pretty. And I'm really happy it exists on the Switch, because I don't think I would have ever played it again had it not come to this modern console. And if there are any other Zelda games coming to the Switch, then I'm excited for it. Anyway, guys, have yourself a great day, and don't forget to be nice to each other, yeah?